Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks so much for watching this video and this interview that I did with Sandra. Before we get into it, before we get into these nuggets and just great value that's going to be shared here in just a few minutes here, I got to talk to you guys about this video's sponsor, and that is Lead Heroes. Guys, Lead Heroes has got you covered, whether it be Medicare supplement leads, final expense leads, turning 65 leads, and they really just have something for everybody when it comes to telemarketed leads. The way that it works is they use their professionally trained telemarketers to make calls for you so you don't have to, and they link you up with interested and qualified prospects all day long, every day. They should be a part of your marketing attack in 2021. Just because you watch this video, they're going to give you 10% off any order you make on their website. Link to their website can be found down in the description, as well as a coupon code to use at checkout. So go ahead and check them out. Without further ado, enjoy this video. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, this is Christian Brindle with Six Figure Medicare Agent. Hope this video finds you doing well. And we're back with another video. I have a really exciting guest here with me today. I have somebody that some of you might recognize, some of you might not. If you don't, that's okay. We're going to kind of unpack her whole story and her whole background. I got Sandra Gebhardt here with me today. Sandra, first things first, how are you today?
Doing good. I'm celebrating my little wins throughout the day as well.
Yeah, love it. Love it. So you and I connected. So the first time that I came in touch with you was actually on Clubhouse. I think I remember you being in a room or two that I was in. Maybe we were on stage together once or twice, something like that, when the whole Clubhouse phenomenon was going on for 5 minutes or however long it was. And then a mutual friend of ours, Zach Munger, connected us, right? So I'm not super familiar with you and what you do, and I was kind of thinking that on this video we could take some time and unpack that and kind of talk about, because I know you're doing big stuff. I saw that I saw your name listed that you're doing a breakout session at 8% Nation, so that's super exciting. Congratulations. As am I. So we'll be doing those together. So first things first, talk a little bit about Sandra and give us a little bit of an introduction about you. What is your background? What does your business look like? Talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay, awesome. Super excited to be here again. Sandra Gebhardt. I'm from Roundup, Montana, a small town in Montana here. And we'll just go back to the insurance. We won't go back to May 20th, 1981. Okay. We'll just take one step back. So I got into insurance, much like everybody else, with the exception of Joe Camper, by accident. I did not grow up like Joe, wanting to be an agent. And my mom had an idea. She was like, let's start an insurance agency together and we'll do that. And I got into insurance that way. So I went with, there wasn't anybody hiring. It was the first time ever in the history of insurance, nobody was hiring. And I kept showing up at this guy's office that's sort of a family friend of ours. And I was like, hey, I can get licensed. I can sell insurance. And then I got licensed. I was like, can I sell some insurance here? So he turned me loose. He said, go do your thing. And I fell in love right away. I got the gift of gab. I was able to cold call with no issues, and loved it and did that. And that's when I first got into the digital marketing space. Was I did get tired of cold calling, like we all do, right? And I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this instead of calling. There's only 1 million people in Montana. I could have called them all. Right. Some days it felt like I did. So I got into the digital space and I fell in love with the digital space. The organic social media was so much easier than going to all the networking events and trying to be everywhere. Rather, I could strategically place myself everywhere and do it from the comfort of my house or while kids are running around, things like that. My husband and I then opened up our own agency under a captive umbrella, PNC focused. And about 6 months into that, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. So our office was new, it was little, and we decided to focus our attention on his health battle and ended up selling the agency. He's doing well now. We haven't had, they were able to get it out, and we haven't had any issues with that since. But we found there was a couple things that happened in that. One, they told us we wouldn't be able to have children. And me being somebody that doesn't like to be told what to do, went ahead and got pregnant. And we found out the week before we left to go get his tumor out. We had to go down to the Mayo Clinic and do all our doctoring there. So now we're coming back a month later. I've got a husband that's in recovery, and I've got a baby on the way. I live in a really small town, and I was like, what am I going to do?
Right.
So I did what smart people do. I hired a mentor.
Yeah.
And he found my strengths, and I hired Bobby Stocks and Rob Sikel, and they catapulted me into the digital marketing space. So I've done a vast array of things in the 3 years that I've been in that space. Mainly did a lot of paid advertising on the PNC side, lead generation, white labeling, being a digital marketing term. I ran ads for other people that sold ads. Um, and last year, towards the end of the year, I really got a bug to coach. I saw a lot of agents. You see it every day, right? Who's the
Right.
best lead provider? What's the best way to get leads on Facebook? All of this stuff. And I saw the big breakdown in it's usually not a lead issue. It's usually a you issue, right? Sales, follow up, CRMs. There's so many things that go into it. And then I saw people dumping hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars on leads with broken systems, and then also weren't working on their own personal brands. And there's this stigma that, well, I'm not a personal brand, my parent company is, or the companies I write for. So here recently, I've really taken a turn into teaching organic social media strategies, creating referral relationships, generating your own leads, and positioning yourself as the expert in your field across your area.
I love it. I love it. And I can kind of see now why Zach maybe wanted to connect us because man, I felt like I was listening to me talk a little bit, for a second there, it's it's insane, because I feel like, when I got started in the business, so I'm second generation. And so I had a parent in the business that had been in the business for 25 years when I started. I started when I was 20. So what I learned from my dad, who had been an agent for a long time, selling Medicare supplements and things like that, was, just what you were describing, cold calling, making 300 to 500 phone calls a day, um, knocking on doors, all that stuff. And I was really good at it. What I think that did for me is it built my backbone as far as sales, right? Like just what you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
following up, building systems, all those things, which was helpful for me. It made me a very good salesperson even to this day. But I felt like what really made the shift in my own business was kind of like what you were saying, is when we started to do more stuff digitally, right? When we started to focus a little bit more on content marketing, funnels, running paid advertisements, just being more strategic, being more efficient, right? Like 1,000 people can watch a video you make at one time, but you can only talk to one person at a time over the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I can definitely appreciate, you kind of taking that pathway of kind of teaching agents and coaching agents kind of how to do that into their business. I've always found that, and I'm sure it's pretty cliche because I sure it's said all the time, but insurance is one of the last industries to catch up to trends. So I think there's not even close to as many agents as we'd like to see that kind of take the approach that you're describing. But
Mm-hmm.
why do you think that is? Like, if I know what I think, but I'm curious to hear what you think.
Honestly, I think, and again, I'm new to the Medicare world, but I can
Right.
speak to the PNC world in that the training is, I still remember I went to train, it's like 6 weeks of training. And they're like, what you do is you
Yeah.
take a piece of paper, you see, and then you slide it across the desk. And then you're like, while I finish up this paperwork, write 3 names down. I'll give you a gift card, right? Like, and I'm like, I paid to come to Chicago to get this training. Are you guys shitting me, right?
Godfather kind of
So,
stuff,
yeah. And I think that's part of it, is that the big places that do training don't have, they're not caught up, like you said.
Right.
There's a lot of companies that are just now boasting that they have an app. They're like, oh, you can do claims on your app. It's cool.
Right.
It's the future. um, so I think it overall, and then I also think on the other side of things, I do think a lot of people get into insurance expecting people to want to talk about insurance. They expect it to be like a car salesman. And one of the questions I ask all the time, Christian, is, Do you think that somebody that sells TVs at Best Buy is a salesman?
Probably not. I mean, they're probably more of an order taker.
Exactly. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people get into insurance thinking, I'll get my license, I'll open the doors, and then people will call me for insurance. And they're genuinely surprised when they find out that that's really not the case.
Right. Right. And I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, that I couldn't have said it any better. So many people are used to just, interested people coming in front of them being like, okay, I want this. They might ask one or two just real, ticky tack questions. And then they're like, all right, I'll buy it, that kind of thing. But the insurance business isn't like that. Like you got a lot of people that are selling the same thing you do. For one, you got a situation where you're not the product, right? Like you are the product, you should be selling yourself as the product, but like at the end of the day, you're selling a product as almost as a third party, as a distributor. You got to make yourself stand out. Um, I think it's interesting because I feel like even still, we've seen more agents kind of take their business digital, but I still think relatively it's pretty much a blue ocean. Would you agree
Mhm.
with that? Like there's still so many people that aren't doing that compared to the ones that are. I feel like there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity for those that might actually take the time to kind of learn the digital side of things.
Oh, for sure. And you start coaching somebody and they're 2 weeks in and they're like, holy smokes, I'm getting referral partners, I'm getting leads, I'm getting all of this stuff coming to me. And I'm like, it's because you talked.
Yeah.
You told people this is what I do. This is why I'm awesome. This is what's going on instead of expecting people to call you.
Right, for sure. Like one thing that I always tell all my new agents on the Medicare side is like, you want a simple, easy, very easily actionable piece of advice. Go on your Facebook page, right? Like, what do you have? 2,000, 3,000 friends, and just post from time to time what you do, or post an article, or just let
Hmm.
people know what you do. They can't buy from you if they don't know what you do, and you have this network of people. You don't got to slide in their DMs or anything like that, but like, just doing little things like that I've seen a lot of people been able to get a lot of business. I know I have, like
Yep.
from people I would have never expected it. Like just being willing to say, okay, my name's Christian or my name's Sandra, and this is what I do. People that need the help will seek you out just by being able to see that. And you have this network built out. I just don't get why more agents are, I don't understand why so many agents are afraid to broadcast themselves without not necessarily saying they have to get in a video or like, selfie it or anything like that, but like just put a post up being like, hey, I'm now selling PNC. If I can do anything to help you, feel free to ask. Happy to help.
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't have to be rocket science, right?
Well, and I can tell you exactly what everybody's thinking. Like, I don't want to be too salesy. I don't want to come across too pushy. I don't
Right.
want to sound like I'm desperate for sales, right? Those three terms, I literally took them out of all the programs I coach in today. I'm like, do not say these to me ever again. One, as insurance agents, you should be pushy. You're
Yeah.
like the dentist. Nobody wants to go to you. Nobody wants to see you. And back to what you said, at least when you leave the dentist, your teeth are cleaner or you have a toothache, right? Because they fix something. You can physically touch it. We're selling a promise. Like, in case shit happens, I'm going to be here for you, right? Like,
Right.
that's even harder. So, what happens is people get into this mindset of, well, I don't want to feel too pushy. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But this is the best time to get into organic social media. And here's why you can add 5,000 ideal clients right onto your Facebook profile. If I'm posting and Christian thinks that I'm too pushy, I'm too salesy, I'm too whatever, which is my own negative thought pattern, right? Then he
Right.
goes away. And I replace him with somebody that's likely to make a buying decision with me. So you have, for the first time ever, you've got 5,000 people that you can build a know, like, and trust factor with. You can say whatever you want to them. You could do 10 videos a day for the year, and it's all free. You're not
Right.
trying to put it on the right television program. You're not trying to buy billboard ads. The very first thing they teach you at insurance school is be sure to get your bench bus bench ad. right?
Right,
And I'm like,
right.
I don't want one. I don't want somebody to draw a mustache on my face. They always draw a mustache on your face. I don't want one.
Right.
Instead, I have 5,000 people that every day I talk to. I let them know a little bit about me, the things that I like, the things that I don't. I get vulnerable with them. You can go back and look last Monday. I was having a little bit of a rough time. Life had kind of caught up with me, and I
Yeah.
shared it with my audience because I owe that to them. For the people that follow me, I can't just be like, oh, everything I do is magical, right? Um, so I'm building the know, like, and trust factor, and people are always going to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And what you have to do is take those 5,000 people that you have, and you have to let them know, do not go on the internet and buy insurance, because when that day happens, when a case happens, when your worst day happens, you're not going to have the right coverage. So I liken being an insurance agent, and I don't care what side of the insurance coin you're on, you're a superhero. And you need to be screaming your message from the mountaintops, because my hope is that every insurance agent I'm connected to knows that I can help them make their business easier for pennies on the dollar every day. And when I was actively selling insurance, I let everybody know, you likely have the wrong coverage. 98% of people I talk to have the wrong coverage through no fault of their own. There is
Right.
no education on this stuff. You have to take tests to get your license. You have to do all of this other stuff, but there is no insurance education. So it is my job to educate you. And I sleep fine every night knowing that whatever my message is that I need to pass out, I have said it on Facebook. I have told my audience. I have connected with my audience. I will slide into a DM and be like, hey, we need to talk about your policy because it's likely set up wrong. You don't have to buy from me, but I want to look at it.
Right.
And how cool is that? You can talk to 5,000 people every single day and position yourself however you want. It's so cool, and it's really, really empowering.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that, being innovative in your business is going to help you stand out. And there's more tools than ever. It's just unbelievable, like, so question, Sandra. So let's say for anybody that might be watching this, and they're just like, I'm really feeling what Sandra's saying. I'm really connecting with her message and everything like that. Talk a little bit about, like, so you mentioned that you coach agents right now, right?
Mhm.
What does that look like? Let's say you were coaching me, for example. What would that look like? What would I get? Like, what kind of stuff would I be learning? What kind of approaches do you teach? Unpack that a little bit for me.
Okay, so my beginner program, and you can see it at sandragebhardt.com. I named my company myself. It's Sandra Gebhardt Marketing.
We'll drop a link in the description, by the way, guys. So if you want to check it out, go ahead.
Yep. And the beginner course that I have is called Newsfeed Nobility. And the intent of that is to make you become the king or queen of your newsfeed. Again, learning how that personal branding works. So whether you think you're a personal brand or not, you are a personal brand. Everything you put out, any content you put out, is your personal brand. So we
Right.
talk about how to build that and be in control of that. Because right now, if you're not doing anything strategically, you are not in control of it. And that can be very damaging. So strategic is the whole, that's like the theme of the program. We go through and we have live calls every week. We've got the private Facebook group, recorded content, but we go through what I call my 5x5x5 technique. And it's something that takes less than 20 minutes a day. And you go through and you follow each step in the 5x5x5 process. And what that does is it helps you expand out into making more and more connections, finding those referral partners, finding those lenders, or excuse me, lenders if you're in PNC,
Sure.
clients,
Yeah.
anybody that you're looking for, you're in control of your message. So that's what we do is we work every day for 20 minutes or less every day on getting that message out, doing it strategically, and then positioning yourself to where you're everywhere and you don't have to go anywhere. So some things that I've done personally myself is when I started my agency, when I was the sales agent for that office here in town before I opened mine, I marketed myself so heavily as Sandra Gebhardt Insurance. I was actually nominated as best insurance agent in Billings, and I was a sales producer. But I didn't,
Wow.
everybody doesn't need to know all the details, right? They
Yeah.
just knew when they thought about insurance, they thought about me. Now, I didn't come from a business background. I was actually in the team roping industry before I got into insurance. So I had to build this whole persona up, this brand up from the ground up. And I was able to do that. And I actually, the nominations came out the day I opened my office. So I was able to keep that. Then I turned around and did it again a year later with the digital marketing with Sandra Gebhardt marketing. And since then, I followed the same system, the same thing I coach on. I've done it myself. I've been highlighted in 2 documentaries. I've spoken on stages. I've never ran any paid advertising for any clients. Everything I've done with my business has been organically. And
Wow.
it's through connections just like this, where,
Yeah.
I met you, I met Tony. Tony and I had a call. He's, and now I'm meeting other people in the Medicare space, and it's been really amazing. But you can do all of that. I have actual business partners where I coach in their program, and I have revenue shares with people I've never even met in person.
Yeah.
I've done it all through organic social media. And that's what we get into, is you start seeing things where, again, people are just reaching out to you, asking you to write their business.
Right. I love it. And I can speak to the power, of kind of building up that brand and everything like that. And essentially having that real estate, in people's heads, to where when they think about what it is, your product or services, they're thinking about you. Like, I know, like, I'll give an example. A couple months ago, I had the pleasure to speak at Medicare Con, just Justin Brock's event. And I've never recruited an agent. We recruit agents all over the country, but I've never really recruited an agent. Every agent we've ever contracted has beat my door down looking for me, because of the content and the brand that we put out. Exact same thing that you're talking about. Same thing with you, I'm sure. Like, the thing that was so crazy to me, I didn't quite realize the power of the brand until I actually arrived at the event. Because when I arrived at the event, I've never had more people come up to me at one time and want to talk to me at the same time in my whole life. I'm like,
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, I'm nobody, I'm just a guy, I go to the store, nobody cares about me, kind of thing. But when you get out and you participate in those events, I'm sure it happens with you too, because of your followers, they go to these events too. They see you and they're just like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm seeing a celebrity. The power of that branding is just, it builds familiarity, right? People don't like to do business with people that they don't like, know, and trust. They've already made their decision on you. They know everything about you. They probably know more about you than you know about yourself. Like, I have people all the time. We do a Medicare podcast for beneficiaries too, and it gets a couple thousand downloads a week at this point. And I'll people all the time. They'll be like, "I listened to your episode 112." I'm like, 112. I'm like, what the hell was that? What did I talk about? And they're like, you said this and you made this analogy, and I thought that was so spot on. And I'm like, did I really say that? I'm like, I have zero memory of saying that. They know, they know.
Yep.
And like, I think, it's great that you're out there teaching that to agents, because I feel like there's not enough agents out there that really understand the power of building up that brand. I think it's just, it is the thing to be doing in the 2020s.
For sure. And if you're doing it in your local town, your local area too, you will get recognized at the grocery store.
At the grocery store, like, you're the person. You're the person.
Right? That's one of the things that happens to me. People will be like, "Oh, hey, Sandra, Gage is getting so big," and I'm like, "You,
Yeah.
you."
Right.
But that's because I spent so much time creating my own brand, and that's what's cool about it. Again, when you create that brand, it's there. Then you can kind of set it on cruise control. So I can tell you, when TEDx got approved to come to Billings, Montana, I actually had 2 people reach out to me and tell me I should apply to be a TEDx presenter, and I was selected as one. So I've got an upcoming TEDx talk coming up.
Wow. Congratulations.
But I haven't, thank you. But I haven't been to any real networking events in my local area, because again, I'm strategically placing myself everywhere. So every now and then I'll go in and I'll infuse myself back into the community. I'll comment on some things. I'll reach out to people and say, how can I help your business? If you're looking for a way to start messages, that's it right there. Christian, how can I help you grow your business?
Yeah. Everybody wants to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to just blow you off, because you're talking about helping them. You're not asking for anything of them. You're just like, hey, what do you need in your business?
And usually you have some sort of answer. If you're networking correctly, what we're doing is doing the same stuff we were doing in person, but we're doing it from, I was at the pool earlier, answering direct messages. The kids were playing. I was talking to you, and I had my phone going. I was active, but the kids were having a much better day than if I was like, hey, I'm going to take you to daycare and go to 2 networking events during this 3-hour time.
Right.
So you can do it at the same time. And that's what's so cool. And most people want to be talked to through text messages, emails, direct message, things like that. But you can get some really powerful things done in a very comfortable setting.
Got it. Yeah. And I agree. I think that's very, very smart and very true. Question for you. Because since I first heard about you on Clubhouse, I think it's only fitting that we talk about Clubhouse for a second.
Mhm.
What is the deal with Clubhouse? Do you think it's going to be here? Do you think it's a long-term platform, or do you think it's a fad platform?
I think it depends. So one of the reasons that I took such a step back was I was very, very active starting about the middle of January. And I went through what I call the Clubhouse knocks, right? I sat in the big marketing rooms, and when I first started, there were a lot of big names. Billie Jean was really active, Grant Cardone, Dan Henry.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people. Damon John was on there. And I'm just like every other good digital marketer. I'm a content, junkie. I'm like, give me more content, give me more content. And I made a few really strategic partnerships. Okay. Because again, when I'm on social media, that's time I could be spending with my family. So I replaced networking events with social media so I could spend more time with my family. So if I'm on Facebook, I want to get off of it, or if I'm on Clubhouse, I want to get off of it. And then my mentor, Rob, he put this in my head years ago. Would your family be proud of what you just did? Would your family be proud of the day you had? Would your family be proud of the actions you're taking? And I take that very serious. So my husband and I had a lot of long conversations. I was like, I'm going to try this new app. I'm going to spend a lot of time on it. I'm going to see what happens. And it was a little bit of a side note there, because Clubhouse is such a time suck, and Facebook used incorrectly can be a big time suck. So you want to make sure that you're not replacing your family's time with something else. So I got into Clubhouse and I was really enjoying the content. And then it got into this real high school kind of, this person pushed me off the stage. I was genuinely surprised at the way women were treated overall on the platform. There was a lot of, the stage are for men, a lot of really kind of 90s sort of thoughts. I was kicked off of a couple stages. So those of you that aren't familiar with the app, if somebody doesn't like what you're saying, they can actually mute you and push you back down to the audience.
Was it any insurance rooms or just rooms in general? I just out of curiosity.
Both.
Ooh, okay. There was.
But I'm not one to take it lightly, so I just keep going back up on stages.
Sure, yeah, I don't blame you. Like there was one person in particular that any room I was a part of, I wouldn't let her come in. But it had nothing to do with that she was a woman. It was because she was an asshole.
Yeah. I see no.
Yeah, I mean, I the reason why I ask is because I've heard that from a couple of people. So I was just kind of curious if and I'm not asking you to name any names. I just was kind of curious on maybe if it was like just in general on the platform, or if it was part of a certain circle, because obviously that's not cool. Like we don't want any of that.
I've seen it in general across the platform, and I ran a lot of groups with. There's like Sarah Litterman, who's an incredible champion on Clubhouse. She spends a lot of time in there. She does a different sort of business where she does consulting for high level consulting for what she calls them small businesses, but they're like $3-4 million businesses. So it's an incredible platform for her, and she's been an incredible champion. So I have ran a lot of rooms and been part of a lot of rooms where that was the topic. But all of that aside, I found it to be very useful at the time I came into it. I was able to build a really good following. I've got by far the largest insurance group on there, the Women in Insurance, Mortgage, and Real Estate. And then I've got another couple ones that I'm a co-person on. But what I did was I used it strategically. So I made some connections. I made some incredible connections, especially in the Medicare space, because I hadn't really interacted with you guys much because I've been so in the PNC space. I was like, there's this whole cool group of agents over here that I haven't spent much time with.
It's like an underground world almost.
Right.
You know, it really is.
It's like you guys all came in on the same day too. Like it was crazy.
Right.
So I did, and I do randomly, I will go back in. If you have $0 to invest, if you legitimately, let me be very clear, if you legitimately do not have the money to invest in a mentor, then Clubhouse is a place where you can find somebody, you can learn a couple of things, but what happens is you can't be a content junkie. You need to go find something and put it into place. So one of the reasons I stepped back was because I was talking to so many insurance agents, and I noticed when I got into the room that I started a room that a lot of the same agents would come in and they'd spend 2 or 3 hours with me. And it didn't sit right. I was talking to my husband one night and I said, these guys are wasting so much time. I know they're not taking one thing I say and going and putting it to use because they're coming back with the same questions.
Right. And it's the same people, right?
Yeah.
Every single time. Like when I took a step back because like you said, I mean, I think all of social media can be a time suck if you let it. I don't think there's a platform out there that can't suck your time. I can't think of a platform that would be more of a time suck though than Clubhouse. Like I would start a room where I'd be involved in a room at, up on the stage helping out, whatever the case might be. And before I knew it, I've been in that room for like 5 hours. And my wife is like, what are you doing? Are you going to get off? Are you going to spend time with me? I'm like, hang on just a second. We're in the middle of this conversation. Like, I was like, if I stay on this platform, if I keep participating in this platform, first of all, I'm wasting a bunch of time. Second of all, I'm like, I'm either going to get divorced or something is going to happen. Like, I mean, it was unbelievable the amount of time that it was taking. Like, that's why I kind of took a step back from it more than anything else. But it was very interesting, for that time period. Like it really did kind of blow up in popularity for a short time, at least in the insurance world. I know that it's still growing and everything like that, but yeah, I mean,
it's a great place for people that are a little confused on where to start, that want to test things out. And then us as coaches, we get so excited, like kind of going back to digital marketing versus cold calling. When you give one person your time for free, it takes an hour, you're kind of trying to follow up with them. But when you can get a whole room of people together for an hour and kind of sow seed into them, that's a really good feeling. So I actually intended, I haven't told anybody else this, but we'll say it live here. I intended when we were all at 8% was for us to kind of all get together and maybe pick a bi-weekly time where we all can come together at the same time and then still utilize that platform because there were a lot of really cool connections that are made. There's a lot of really cool discussions that happen. And it's a great place for new agents to kind of listen to people rap and talk about, I've done this, I've tried this. And I did get a lot of really cool ideas out of it. But again, if we're all going in at different times, I think it's just, like you said, it's just a little bit too much. And the people that we're trying to help, they don't know whether they're coming or going and trying to figure out where everybody's at.
Definitely. I think that's a good transition into 8%. So you're doing a breakout session, as we mentioned. Talk about what you're going to be talking about. What's the topic?
I'm going to give it all away. The 5x5x5. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how you can implement it right away. I'm going to give you guys some hacks to keep Facebook from being a time suck. And we're going to go through exactly what you need to do. So it's not going to be a lot of fluff. It's not going to be a lot of theory. It's going to be, this is what you do. Go and do it. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. What day are you doing yours?
I haven't heard yet. Have you heard on yours?
Yeah, mine is Saturday morning. That's all I know. I don't know an exact time, but I just was curious because obviously I want to go see as many of them as I can, so I'm hoping that they're all at different times so I can participate, so I can soak
Yeah.
up content and not just, but yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. And, I'm like, this is my first 8% Nation. I've been telling Cody for 3 years or so I would go. And I just, like, one year my wife had a baby like 2 weeks before 8% Nation. And if I wanted to stay married, I wasn't going to go. And,
Yes.
last year with the whole rescheduling, the pandemic, right? This is the first time that I'm going to be going. I'm really excited about it. So I'm excited to get to meet you in person and, kind of connect and hopefully our times don't intertwine so I can come and check out your breakout session.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This will be my first one as well. I'm super excited. I've got a little booth there and excited to meet a lot of these people I have. I'm going to meet my business partners for the first time. They're coming down too.
Yeah. So it's funny how that goes, right? In the new world. Like, there were so many people, like when I went to Medicare Con back in February, there was so many people that I built these relationships with, agents that I feel like I know them, like family almost, some of them. And I've never met them in person, not once. And then I see them in person, I'm like, oh, this is weird. This is kind of weird. This doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah,
what's so cool about it is, and that's one of the things I talk about in Newsfeed Nobility, is you don't have to do all the small talk. And that's my favorite part of digital marketing, using those strategies, because you can go in and start a conversation. I hate small talk. Makes my head hurt. So you can actually go in and build even a deeper relationship, because you already know that they're married. You already know that they have kids. You already know that they like the Cowboys, right? And you can get in and be like, oh my gosh, how did that deal work out? And you can start a conversation right in the middle. So I'm super excited about that as well. A lot of people I've worked with that I haven't met in person.
Last question I got for you. I want to be respectful of your time, and then we'll kind of close this out. So when it comes to platforms, right? If you had to pick one platform, and you could only build, create, network, whatever you would want to do on that platform. Let's say you could only use one platform for the next 5 years. Which one would you pick and why?
It's Facebook, hands down. It has been. And there's two reasons why. One, I really truly don't feel like I want to move. I should not move onto another platform until I have a complete mastery of the platform that I'm on, especially if I'm coaching on it. So I do have a LinkedIn. I do have Instagram. I have a YouTube channel with like 4 horse videos on it back when I was in the cowboy life. But I stay very, very focused on Facebook because it meets all of my needs. So that keeps me from getting shiny object syndrome and being like, oh, maybe I should buy a flat brim hat and paint everything in my life taupe and be an Instagram influencer, right? Like, that's not, I don't want to pull away from what is working, which is really strange for a salesperson. I know, right? Like, we want to change it, right? But I stay very, very true and very locked into Facebook. And the platform is just continuing to grow. And I like most of the changes that they make. But the ability, I have not seen another platform where you can strategically add people to it and then tell them exactly what you want them to hear, and to be able to manipulate the algorithm in a way that you can put yourself in front of the people you want to be in front of. I think by far it has the best algorithm that you can hack, for lack of a better word.
It's funny you say that, because I was invited to come on a podcast recently, and they asked me that same question, and I love the question. That's why I asked it to you, because I think it's a perfect question for people like you and for people like me that are real active on social media, and create and network and all those things. But I really had to think about it. Like, obviously, the 2 platforms that came to mind for me were Facebook and YouTube. Right. YouTube was very hard for me not to pick, because I feel like the ceiling is unlimited with what you can do with a YouTube channel. But I picked Facebook when I really came down to it because of what I built on Facebook, right? The Facebook group is ridiculous. Like, the only reason our YouTube channel is what it is today, like we're probably, I think, like 5 watch hours away from being able to monetize. I was so like geeking out about that. Like, oh my gosh, I was like, we're gonna make pennies, But that's all because of the Facebook group. Like the views come from the Facebook group. We wouldn't have a fraction of that without the Facebook group. And so I'd agree with you. I think there's so much you can do on Facebook. People kind of look at it like it's a dead platform because, it's not like TikTok. You can't throw up a TikTok, put some hashtags and get a bunch of views, but who cares? There's so much you can do with it, and it's going to be here. It's going to be here for a long, long time. So I agree with you. I would say the same thing.
I have a lot of people challenge me on that. They'll say, well, you've got 5,000 friends, and I've got like, I don't know, 3,500 or 4,000 somewhere on there on my fan page, but I don't have a ton of followers on Instagram. I did get a lot more on when I was on Clubhouse, which is why I'm attentive to my Instagram right now.
Right.
Not active by any means. I made everybody come over to Facebook. I'm like, meet me over here. And I don't have the YouTube and stuff because sorry, I lost my train of thought. But people will say, well, you don't have 20,000 followers on Instagram. But that's not my intent. My intent is not to be
that's not
an
your
influencer.
brand. Yeah.
Yes. And agents, that is not your brand either. Having 200,000 followers on TikTok, unless you're writing policies, unless you're signing people up for your program, you're not. It's all fluff. And right. So it's important to keep that in mind. And this new idea of I need to be an influencer and I need to have all of these followers before I can do the next step. It's the wrong aspect. My niece just graduated from high school. I'm like, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to be an Instagram influencer. And I was like, okay, what's your plan? And she's like, well, I'm going to post some pictures. I'm like, it's a terrible plan.
Right. Right.
And there are people that are successful in doing it, but again, those numbers are small. But if you concentrate on your own brand, it doesn't matter. I've got one student that has 600 friends on Facebook, and her average post interaction is somewhere between 40 and 50 people. That's insane. Those are insane numbers.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. But she hasn't written all 600 of them yet. I'm like, keep following the steps and keep these people engaged because they love you.
Right. I think that's a great point. The other thing with Facebook that I think people don't think about, like, I feel like there's too many people that are thinking about like, okay, I make a fan page, right? And I get 20, 30,000 people like that fan page. But like you were saying a second ago, I mean, the algorithm for Facebook's great, but like not for fan pages, right? Nobody's
1% at best.
No one's going to see anything you post, right? So like, I'd much rather have 1,000 people on my personal page than 10,000 on my fan page. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's not even close. And also, I think your personal page and Facebook groups is where you want to live.
Yep.
Those 2 things are have such ridiculous efficiency and potential to what you can do on Facebook. So I actually tend to agree with you 100% on that because I know what it's done for me in my business. Like we play on some other platforms, but it's not like we do 8 to 10 platforms. Like we do a lot of stuff on YouTube. We're starting to do more on LinkedIn. Of course, now that we're hiring more people, it's not like I'm doing it all myself, but like it all comes from Facebook. Facebook kind of feeds those other platforms, and I'm not naive to that. I think Facebook is tried and true. It's like, it's not sexy anymore, but it's tried and true. It's going to work. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah. Facebook is where you go to make money. Yeah. And that's the first thing I say in my program. For anybody that's listening, if you just change your mindset from my Facebook is here to see what coffees everybody had today or to stay connected with my family. I don't want to let people into my personal life. Stop it. Facebook is there for you to make money. You can monetize it. You can monetize it without even spending a dime on it. It's absolutely amazing. And there's never been anything like that before. And you can do it, and you can do it fast and efficiently. And when you start thinking about it like a money-making tool, your whole business is going to change.
I love it. Sandra, where is the best place for people to connect with you? Where's the best place for people to find you?
SandraGebhardt.com will give you all my information.
Yes,
please feel free to hit me. Yep, hit me up on Facebook anytime. Happy to chat with anybody. So a lot of times, the best way, I started with a whole lot of O's right there. The best way to interact with me is to send me a message ahead of time and say, hey, I saw you on, because my friend list does stay pretty full, but I'll kick somebody off for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this. This was awesome. I thought this was a great conversation. I think there was a lot of little nuggets dropped and a lot of really good value. And so I appreciate you taking time out of your day on a gorgeous summer day to come talk to me and talk to the audience here. And thank you again. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person at 8%.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, do me a fave. You know what the fave is. Drop a like, comment down below. Tell me that I'm ugly. I don't care. I want to hear it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're notified when we upload. And we'll be back next time. Here's to your success and to your abundance. Thanks, guys.